All right, lights, camera, action. Today we're going to be doing something that will take you to your limit.
Today, we have Rachel Fowlie and Andrew Neuls using games to develop communication skills. Rachel Fowlie lives in Northern BC with her mom and her dad and her 4 younger siblings. Andrew Neuls lives in the Lower Mainland. I think today we've got the entire province covered. He lives in the Lower Mainland with his mother's father and his 8 siblings. Wow. Now, Rachel and Andrew originally met over Zoom, and they became fast friends. They share a passion for guitar, reading, faith, and friendship. They are both strong supporters of the newly formed online Gavel Club, and they've actively taken on roles when needed. Please put your hands together for Rachel Fowlie and Andrew Neuls using games to develop communication skills. Now, welcome Andrew and Rachel.
Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters and all, do you remember the days when you sat around your table playing cards or playing a board game, or talking with each other and laughing? In this age of technology, playing games with your family and friends is diminishing at the highest rate. In this workshop, Rachel and I will be sharing with you some of the backgrounds and along with benefits and challenges and specific examples of games that work for aspects of communication, both verbal and nonverbal, as well as delving into the skills that can be strengthened, and they will highlight how we can adapt the games to suit our virtual environment today. Recommendations on group sizes and communication skills that games can be used for will also be there. Most importantly, there will be audience participation, so be prepared to use the chat and unmute yourselves for a good duration of this meeting.
So the first game we want to introduce you guys to is Freeze. Now, some of you guys might remember when you played Freeze in your drama class, or were at youth group forced to act out some sort of scene, much to your eternal demise. Don't worry, we aren't making you act yet. So for everyone who doesn't know, or may have forgotten what Freeze is, it's a large group game in which 2 people act out a scene, and someone in the audience or outside the scene will call freeze and take the place of one of the 2 people acting. In our adaptation of the game, we designed Freeze to improve and develop speaking, specifically through table topics. So instead of having you act out a scene, we're having you communicate with a fellow Toastmaster. So table topics requires quick thinking and the ability to be able to speak for a duration of time and keep your audience engaged. In this adapted version, we'll be having you do that with a slight twist. We're going to start 2 people off with a topic, and they have a maximum of 1 minute to talk to each other. And sometime during that minute, somebody else is going to yell freeze. When somebody yells freeze, the scene is going to stop immediately, even if you're in the middle of a sentence. So you could say, I want, and if somebody yells freeze, you have to stop right there. You can't finish your sentence. So the person who yelled freeze is then going to quickly interject and say who they're going to take over for. And then they just continue the scene. So maybe it was, I want ice cream. I want ice cream. Let's go get ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. And so they continue on that scene, and the other person has to adapt right away to work with whatever the other person has now come up with. You do not have to continue on the same topic that was previously there. So if we were talking about baby goats and wanting to go get some milk, you could change it to, oh, I want to go to the fair. Let's get some ice cream and popcorn. Let's have some fun here. You can do whatever the heck you want. So is there anyone who would be willing to just help us with a quick demonstration so we can kind of give everyone an example of what they're going to be doing?
Can I help? I'm sorry. I know I told you this the other day, Rachel. I've got to leave because I have another call at 11. So I would love to do this right now. Okay. That is perfect. I'm kind of warmed up, everybody else is probably a little shy.
Oh, exactly.
Right on.
All right. So you and I are just going to do a quick
chat.
Yeah, kind of like just chat back and forth, describe a scene, and then Andrew will pop in at some point yelling freeze and change the scene however. So do you want to start or do you want me to?
You start.
All right. So do you want to go get some ice cream? It's like really hot out here, and like, I'm wearing long sleeves and
Why are you wearing long sleeves on such a hot day? That is ridiculous.
Well, I didn't have any clean t-shirts. Like, come on, you do know like
Freeze.
how hot it is.
I want to get some for Rachel. I want to get some ice cream cake instead. I don't care about your long sleeves, but I'm willing to get ice cream cake.
I love
And a big double sized one too from Dairy Queen, because those are awesome. They're a bit expensive, but they're good. They're awesome.
The only thing I don't like about the ice cream cake is that chocolate crumble. I don't know what it is. I do not like the chocolate crumble.
You don't like the chocolate crumble? Are you kidding?
I like their blizzard cakes where you get to choose your own. I like to do my own thing. I'm
gonna take over for Nicole. I also love to do my own thing. Like, okay, you know, doing your own thing is so great. I could go surfing in the middle of winter and I could like just totally chill.
Do you want to freeze your butt off? Like what?
I'm not gonna freeze my butt off. It's you stand, you don't sit on the surfboard.
Well, if you're surfing in Canada, you're gonna freeze. You're gonna freeze.
Who says I'm surfing in Canada? Okay, so that's kind of how it would go, and you just have to continue the conversation between the two people going on. So does that kind of make sense to everyone? Just give like a thumbs up on your Zoom screen if that seems to make some sense.
Or nod if you can.
Awesome. Well, it looks like it's making sense to a few people, and most of you will catch on kind of as we go. We're going to do this for 5 minutes, just as a quick warm up before we get started on the presentation. So is there 2 more volunteers who would like to start us off with our first scene?
Come on, anybody?
Is that Tammy? Did you raise your hand?
Tammy and Greg has raised his hand as well.
Tammy and Greg.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Hi, Greg.
So Greg has some experience with this one. We're going to use the same one we used for him last week. So what I want you to do, Tammy, Tammy, you're going to be acting like an extrovert, and you're going to be trying to convince Greg to become an extrovert with you. And Greg, again, you're going to be the introvert, and you're going to be trying to convince Tammy that you want her to be the introvert. So you're going to be trying to convince each other to take on each other's personalities. Does that make sense? Awesome. I'll start the timer, and anyone can yell freeze and interject whenever the heck you want.
Mm-hmm.
Tammy, you're so loud. Quiet down, quiet down. Come to the dark side with me, please.
Oh, Greg, it's not that bad. It's not that loud, and it's not that scary. You just have to get out of your shell a little bit.
I love my shell. My shell is my paradise. Calm down. Take a breath. Join me in this more simple way of life.
I don't need to take a breath. You need to connect to society. You clearly are losing the plot.
Have you watched the news, Tammy? There's too many people out there doing too many terrible things. I'd rather have a book cozied up to a fireplace, hoping that someone would join in on this game, folks.
But you know what?
For Greg,
Books?
you need to chill, man, okay? Like, just chill out, all right? Just take it easy, take some tea, sip your coffee, you know what? All good. Just let life play out as it is.
I'll take over for Tammy. Chill? Oh, you realize that chill is like the definition of lazy and like boring, right?
But that's the high life, man. Gotta live like that.
What do you expect? That everyone's just gonna go around listening to music all the time?
Oh yeah, that's the grooves.
I don't know, man.
Come on. It's the high life, man. It's the highway.
Freeze, I'm taking over for Andrew. Andrew sedatives have kicked in apparently. So no, this is an opportunity to, we don't need to be at opposite ends of the spectrum and have introversion on one end and extroversion on the other end. We can meet in the middle and be nice and harmonious and become the love generation that we were back in the 60s. We'll have to explain this to Andrew and Rachel. I've seen that Nicole's nodding her head here.
Okay, Darren, I get what you're saying, but this is not the 60s. This is now the new age, and we are the millennials, and we need to get going with this awesome society, like tech and like.
Well, what we need to do is just go at a nice, even keel, because you're rushing your way through your life. Before you know it, you'll be going from being in the 60s to being in your 60s.
I am never going to get into my 60s. Oh,
You want to bet?
Not.
I am taking over for Rachel before I gotta go. People, listen to Darren Frew. The man.
Write that down, man.
Knowledge. The man has knowledge. The man has lived through decades. Decades, I tell you. If he tells for you to just take things at an even keel, take things at an even keel. Do you want to end up looking like him? No. Do you want to end up living like him? No. Mind you, this man is a cancer survivor. He knows what he's talking about. Listen.
Reese, I need to take over for Darren.
Thank you.
Speaking of even keels, when's the last time you looked at a Canadian dime? Did you know, like, the Blue Nose is one of the best boats ever? I just love getting out there on the open ocean, feeling the wind in my hair, and it's just the greatest. And no 60-year-old is going to tell me how to keep my keel. Thank you very much.
Freeze for Nicole. I totally agree with that. Like, totally, we should go and totally do this. Like, totally, did you hear what they said? Can we just, like, go and totally get ice cream and just, like, live our life?
I must go. I am not going back to the 80s days where every other word was totally, like gag me with a spoon, totally.
But, like, totally is, like, the best word out there. Like, totally, did you hear what that guy said the other day? Like, he was totally a jerk.
Okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. I will see you people later. But totally, this is awesome. Just totally awesome.
Breeze, I'm taking over for Nicole.
It, girl. Totally. And on that, we're going to cut it off at a wrap because that's our 5 minutes.
Okay, that was a nice bit of strangeness. So those of you who are still with us, this is a warning. This is not the time to be nodding off. It really is not.
That is extremely accurate.
Yes, because brace yourselves is all I can say. Rachel, Andrew, go nuts. They're all yours.
Oh yeah, we've had a few people who have already experienced our presentation 1 or 2 times. So listen to Darren. He got the first experience of it. The raw.
I'm liking this trend about listening to me, by the way, just you know.
Don't get into that trend.
All right. So quickly before we move on, we want to quickly do a brief recap on what Freeze can help you with in like Toastmasters or like table topics or any scenario when you need to be speaking. So in the chat, I want you guys to all throw up a few different words that you think that Freeze could help you with in your Toastmasters experience of growing in communication. So I see problem solving and listening and thinking on your feet. I see like pauses. Those are all really, really, really great answers. So basically the ones that and debate. I saw that one too.
Having fun on the fly. I like that.
Yeah. Changing topics, transitions, great ones. Yeah. So the 3 main ones that we wanted to highlight was quick thinking, which you guys mentioned, basically improvising a scenario and thinking on your feet, having to quickly change a scenario and adapt to a new scenario that people are starting for you. Number 2 would be engaging your audience. So one of the main things in Toastmasters is you need to have the ability to engage your audience and not just let them nod off to sleep during your speech or your table topics. Because if you do that, you're not going to get a great evaluation and you're not going to be able to want them to listen to you more. So you're going to have trouble if you're trying to get through pathways or any of your speeches. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to get the opportunity to have a speech if people aren't wanting to listen to you because you're speaking in a monotone voice or you're not engaging them in a way that they want to be engaged. And finally, our 3rd one is listening. So basically listening for the word freeze is a major one. You need to be able to hear, especially over Zoom when there's overlapping chatter a lot. You're listening for one word that's can be so quiet, but it's just one word that stops everything. So freeze. And so you're having to pay attention while communicating with your fellow Toastmaster, the word freeze. So the main ones, quick thinking, engaging your audience, and listening. But you guys definitely came up with some amazing ones in the chat that are really, really great for this as well. So yeah, before we start this next session, I just want to make sure everyone has their paper and pencil, because this is where we're going to be using the paper and pencil. So is that, or yes, I did say that correctly. Not a pen and a pencil, paper.
Yes.
So is everyone set up for that? Just quick thumbs up. Yep, awesome.
All right. So before we start, we want everyone to have the chance to share their ideas. Yeah, we already went through that actually. How long are we gonna wait until we're gonna start?
We're good to go.
Good to go. Awesome.
Somebody asked you there, what is the fishbowl facilitation technique?
Pardon me?
That was
Somebody
me.
asked you.
That was me, and that was in response to something that Greg said. So I should have directed that at Greg.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I was
thank
just
you.
curious.
Got you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. All right, you want to start us off?
Sure thing. So according to author Simon Sinek, the most important question to be answered is why. So why do people use games? What is the benefit? Are they really useful in the Toastmasters meeting, or are they just for fun? We have a series of questions we'll be asking throughout the session. The first one is, what kind of games can you play? And on a piece of paper, this is why we got you to get the paper. Please write a list of everything that comes to mind in 30 seconds. And then we'll call upon you guys to share your ideas after. So again, the question is, what kind of games can you play? And if you guys don't have pen and paper, you can just write it in the chat after.
Yeah.
When we're done.
Just come up with it on your own, and then.
Yep. Should be fine.
Awesome. So that's time. Is there anyone who would like to start by sharing a few ideas?
Sure. Mind games.
Yes, that's an awesome one.
I like it.
Mind games are super fun. I also enjoy like anything mind or strategy, because I feel like they can build up.
Like Risk. Risk is my big thing right there.
April,
Awesome
the
strategy.
charades.
Jillian has her
Yes.
hand up, so.
Balderdash.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yes.
Balderdash is actually one of my personal favorites, and we're going to be going into that a little bit more later in this meeting.
Yes, we are.
Greg has his hand up. So.
Greg?
I've used these games in the context after Ultimate Frisbee matches, where both teams get together and they'll do a game. Also in camps or groups, different sort of youth groups, I've seen these games used, and of course theater applications as well.
Definitely. Most of the
Very
games
nice.
we're going to be going into are ones that we've either adapted from a theater class or drama class to become more virtual experiences, or they're just ones that have always kind of worked either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically today we don't really have a set category for the games that we're going to be showing you. So we've just put them into our own category called Zoom games. So yeah, these are not limited to Zoom. Like I said before, they can be played in person. So if you guys return to your in-person meetings, which hopefully will be soon, you can take these games and take them off of Zoom, play them in person. You can use pencil and paper instead of the chat. You can speak more freely and definitely hear the word freeze more because we don't have the internet problems. And yeah, so some of the examples that we came up with would be charades, balderdash, interpretive reading, freeze, role play, anything interpretation wise, so trying to figure out something, whether you're hearing it wrong or it's anything along those lines. You could have mimic, Simon Says, kangaroo words, tongue twisters, two truths and a lie. This one called Story, Story, Die, which is slightly complex, but really close along the lines with Freeze, just more of a story format. And some of these we'll be explaining later in the meeting in more depth. But our list of Zoom games is just small to kind of give you guys an introduction to some that you could bring into your meetings. So our next question that we want you to answer for us is, why do people use games? What is the benefit? And I'll give you guys 30 seconds again. Just write down any ideas that you guys come up with, and we will open up the floor to share ideas after.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Why do people use games? What is the benefit?
A Zoom escape room. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of the escape room.
And April has a question. We can definitely give you our list of games before the end of the session.
Mhm.
I can throw a list in the chat. I'll throw it in at the end so it doesn't get lost, though. Yeah, and I'm seeing great answers already. Make everyone pay attention. They're fun. Best way to learn anything.
Yes.
Yeah, they take the focus away from the goal. These are awesome. And that is our time of 30 seconds. So if anyone who's writing things down wants to pipe in with a few thoughts.
Engage his audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm seeing some great ones in the chat here. They open creativity, their icebreaker. Yeah, that's a really big one. They can help you to engage with your audience and start them off if they don't feel comfortable with you. You can throw an icebreaker in there. That's a really awesome one.
Yeah.
Yeah, energizing a room. They're very just fun in general. Yeah, these are awesome. Tackle tricky subjects. Great answers, guys.
Definitely.
I don't know. I think you guys should be giving this presentation. You're coming up with way better answers than me.
Yeah, jeez, man. Never thought of half these.
Anyway, so we tried to keep this simple. And although people could use games for hundreds of reasons, we kept that in short, they use them to interact with people around them on an equal level. They have a common ground where people can get to know each other in a fun way, build relationships, and they add stimulation to the environment and involvement to sessions or presentations while reinforcing learning. So you can ask questions like we're doing right now to get you guys engaged and have you guys answering our questions for us.
Exactly.
And that way you guys get a little bit more input. And yeah, so they just keep you guys engaged a little bit more into this session. So those are our main points. Engaging, common ground, and just a way to build relationships between people. Yeah. So we're moving on to question 3.
All right. So that's like what skills do games develop specifically? And I don't know if this is like part of it, but maybe what skills do games develop in Toastmasters specifically? Mm-hmm. And 30 seconds for that too.
Yeah, improv thinking, that's a great one.
Definitely.
As we've seen in the start already, teamwork. Definitely. Yeah, listening to others. Audience interaction, definitely. Yes. Yep, yep, with the end and added. Okay, so I don't see any more in the chat or anyone unmuting. So games develop many skills. The ones that we are focusing on today through our different games we're going to be playing with you guys are communication skills, listening skills, teamwork, impromptu thinking, creative thinking, and using gestures. So 6 main ones. And each of these are vital to a Toastmasters meeting to keep it running smoothly. So each should be developed to the best of their ability.
Awesome. And then for the last question, which is I think the longest answer, how can we use games at a Toastmasters meeting? And I think this
one's a bridging off of our last question, but it's just going into a little bit more depth of.
Yeah, basically stressing on the how.
Yeah. So how can you use games at a Toastmasters meeting? I'll set 30 seconds on the clock and let you guys know when you're done. Yep, you can definitely use it for table topics. Introductions, yeah. Trying to scroll through the chat, but
instead of TT.
At the very top. Yeah, warm-up activity, anything social. Yeah, if you guys are doing a meeting or just like a get-together type thing, you can definitely use games to start it. That would be our timer that I didn't stop in time this time. Yeah, open house, definitely. Anyone have anything to? Greg, is that you?
Rich, yeah, I'd just like to say that I've seen the game that you started with, Freeze, used by an obscure, actually, I think an obscure theater company. And they were tackling Drug abuse was the topic that they were tackling, and it was a marvelous way to involve the entire audience, and it was done in a corporate setting. Well done, and it's the, I think, power of theater to engage an audience, and it can be done also. The fishbowl technique is similar, except it's more busy, where you have an internal circle of folks conversing, and then a larger plenary, and they can replace people to offer perspectives in the inner circle. It's a very interesting technique that I encourage folks to explore.
Yeah, definitely. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It definitely helps dive into a deeper topic that some people might be uncomfortable with in a little bit lighter way. So that's another, if you're doing a speech in Toastmasters on something that might be triggering for people or could have a deeper impact on them, you could definitely use a game or just a different way of doing your speech, like asking questions instead to engage the audience and just make it a little bit lighter and not as heavy.
Yeah, and a different way to like approach the subject too, right? So yeah.
So instead of using point form description like we've been doing for our previous questions, we're going to start to go into more specifics of each game we'll be playing later and how each game falls into which role they'll help you with. So the first one we have is charades and any role play game to help develop the use of gestures. So with these, you're forced to use your body to communicate. You can't speak through these, so you have to use actions and come closer to camera, or like Darren has actually been the sore guinea pig of our first charades attempt.
I'm trying to suppress that memory, thank you.
Too bad.
Well, unfortunately, when you're in our presentation, you're not able to do that. But yeah, you can't speak during charades, so you're forced to figure out a different way to communicate with your audience what you're trying to get across to them. So if you're trying to act like an elephant, okay, that's a little easy. You can use a trunk, make it seem like you're an elephant. Or if you're a tornado, you can spin around in a circle. I'm kind of singling out Darren here because he had the unfortunate demise of a few of these.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did a great job engaging with his audience and explaining he was a tornado. So yeah, you can use these to improve which gestures use. Because if you find that one isn't working, well, you have to go to another quickly because you don't have a lot of time to get across what you're trying to get across. Although in roleplay, you do use words occasionally, so roleplay is a little bit easier. So if you're working with an audience who may not be as developed in using gestures or working together or whatnot, using roleplay first and just incorporating gestures a lot more, like having them, if say you're talking about animals, you have to talk like the animal and use a gesture like an animal. So you have to incorporate different things, which could be used for an audience that's still getting into using games. Yeah. Other games can be used to promote speech or a specific type of speech. So for an example, tongue twisters can help you form words that sound much like ones that you might have said before. So you could say Darren does or Greg goes. You have the G syllables in front of them, so it makes them a little bit more complex to say in a sentence. And when you have multiple of those adding together, it can be really challenging to say what you're trying to say clearly and enunciate. And so saying tongue twisters can help test your sight reading and pronunciation skills and help you just learn how to speak or read a script more concisely and clearly.
And then like Two Truths and a Lie is another one, and it's like for team building, and this is my personal favorite, but like it's for team building and creative thinking and getting to know the people you play with. And I've played many Two Truths and a Lie, and every single time you get to know people more, no matter what they say. So it's really awesome for that field.
Yeah. And so another category of games that you can incorporate into your Toastmasters meeting, which I believe Jillian, you brought up earlier, was Balderdash. So Balderdash, along with Kangaroo Words, they focus on impromptu speaking and using vocal variety and being creative with your imagination and trying to figure out, okay, what does this word mean? Or what is being said on this card? Like, you have to communicate to your audience and just be creative and think on the spot. You can't take an hour and write a speech on this card. You have to just be like, hey, well, it's table topics. So yeah, vocal variety is a main key component of that, so that you can just engage and stimulate your audience through even just a few words. You don't necessarily need to use many words, but if you use powerful words like bang, boom, clomp, you can engage your audience and have them listening to what you're saying right away. And the best way to incorporate these games into a Toastmasters meeting is definitely to use them for table topics or an icebreaker or just the ending of a speech to prove a point or engage your audience. And you can definitely use them if you're in an in-person meeting or just an in-person gathering and trying to waste time while you're waiting for everyone to show up, or you're just trying to rally everyone together while waiting for something. There are hundreds and hundreds of ways that you can use games. So at the beginning of our presentation, we used freeze, and that was just to help you guys warm up to each other and to warm up to us and to come into the presentation a little bit more with expectations of what was going to happen, so that later when we start into the games, you aren't going to be like, what the heck is going on? This just turned really crazy really fast. So yeah, all games can be challenging, but they do introduce a simple way for beginners and intermediate Toastmasters that you guys can both pick up on and learn and have some fun with. But after all, they are just games, and they are very flexible and can be used anytime during the meeting to even just take a break, de-stress, have fun, and learn new things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So I think the next thing we're going to be doing is the Simon Says game. Mm-hmm. All right, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, let's do it. So you guys have all played Simon Says, I hope. Okay, but if you've somehow managed to evade this game for the duration of your lifetime, I really hope you haven't, because that's kind of sad. But if you have and you've never experienced this before, how it works is one person is the leader, and that person will say, Simon says blank. And then they will, or the blank will be an action or a word or something that everyone in the group has to copy. So if I say, Simon says, put your hands on your head, everyone has to touch their head. And then everyone touches their head. But say I say, just touch your head. Anyone who touches their head at that point, well, you're out of the game, unfortunately for you. What we are doing in this is exactly the same, except we're going to be calling it Toastmaster Says to make it a little bit more appropriate for the meeting. So this game is going to help develop listening and observation skills, because you have to listen to see if they said Toastmaster or if they're just trying to mess with your brain. Again, kind of like a mind game, actually. And also observation skills to see if you missed what they said, to see if everyone else is doing one action or if it's just them doing the action. Because if it's just them doing the action, it's likely that they're just trying to mess you up and get you to touch your hands on your head without saying Toastmaster, or in the instance of Simon Says, Simon. So we're just going to do a quick practice round to kind of get you guys into it. And then we're going to randomly select one of you guys to take over. And may I ask that the Zoom master in this just gives me the ability to share screen for right after this. And if any of you guys...
We already have it.
Okay, awesome. And if anyone during this meeting forgets the rules on how to play Simon Says or Toastmaster Says, just ask anyone in your house under the age of 8, and they will be extremely happy to help you learn how to play. Do you want to be our leader to start, Andrew?
Sure. I never was good at this game, but let's do it. All right. Toastmaster Says, touch your eyelids. Toastmaster Says, put your hands on your shoulders. Toastmaster Says, put your hands on your ears. Put your hands on your eyes.
Oh,
Says, oh, did you see someone?
That would be out. All right. Is there anyone who wants to take over, or are we just going to randomly pull a name out of the hat, and that's just going to be me randomly picking a name that I see on the screen.
I was just, before you do that, I'm just going to say that this game will go a lot better if people turn their cameras on.
It will.
Just saying. Perhaps
idea,
it's just
good
me. I
idea.
don't know, but
Don't be
bit
shy.
of a visual learner here, but what the heck.
Exactly.
Awesome. I see a few people turning their cameras on. That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Alrighty. So as the rest of the people turn their cameras on, is there anyone who wants to be our leader?
Don't make me do it again, guys, please.
You could
And I will say,
volunteer
if you're
somebody.
I could.
Yeah, you can call and tell
I'll
them.
tell someone. Yep.
Yeah.
I will give you a tip that if you're trying to be the leader and whack everyone out, if you go really fast, it really forces their listening skills, and they really have to figure out what the heck you're saying, especially the old guys in the room, you know. All right.
Anybody?
You know what? Can we have Ray Perry? Do you want to be our leader for this?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Toastmaster says, put up one finger. Toastmaster says, touch your ears. Toastmaster says, pat your head. Toastmaster says, touch your mouth. Touch your nose.
Ooh.
Someone
All right.
touch
So if
their
you
nose?
touch your nose, just turn off your camera for a minute so we know who's still left in the game. All right. Let's move to a different person. Can we have April? Do you want to be our next leader?
Sure. Toastmaster says, do jazz hands. Toastmaster says, stick your tongue out. Toastmaster says, turn around. Stand up. Nobody did it.
Good job. So do you want to keep going, or shall we move on? Shall we move on to another person?
Move on.
Move on. All right.
I'm not good at this.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Who should I make my unwilling victim next? Well, let's go with David. David Smythe.
So Toastmaster says, lean your head to the right. Tilt your head to the right. Toastmaster says, put both hands behind your head. Toastmaster says, chin to your chest. Lift your head up. I saw one person. I think, Andrew, did you lift your head?
Yeah, I lift my head. I'm done.
All right. Let's go to our Adrian, do you want to help us out next?
I feel like I'm being
Sure.
arrested again.
I'm looking guilty.
He always
Okay,
looks
so
that way.
Toastmaster says, blink your eyes. Toastmaster says, touch your mouth. Toastmaster says, touch your hair. Toastmaster says, wave high. Lift your left hand up.
Oh no, I'm out.
No one?
You got
Yeah,
me.
though.
You got me.
Andrew's, yeah. Andrew's
Congrats
dead
for everyone
meat.
who's like keeping going. I'm like, you guys are really good at this. Jillian, do you want to be our next Toastmaster in crime?
Toastmaster says, open your mouth really wide. Toastmaster says, put your right hand on your left shoulder. Toastmaster says, put both arms up. Put both arms down.
Ooh, Larry.
Larry.
All right, we'll do 2 more rounds and then we'll move into our next section of the presentation.
I
don't think former sailors are very good at this game.
Marilee, do you want to give it a shot?
Toastmaster says, roll your shoulders.
Ooh, a nice exercise today.
Toastmaster says, put one arm up. Toastmaster says, touch your head. Toastmaster says, touch your nose. Touch your mouth.
Oh, Larry, you moved it again. I think
two
you're doing
times.
this on purpose at this point.
I think it needs someone who can talk really fast.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me take a shot at it. Let's see if you guys can keep up with me. And I'm not going to do the actions, so I'm going to make you guys just use your listening ears and to try and hear what I said. Toastmaster said, say hi. Toastmaster says, wave your arms. Toastmaster says, Blink really fast. Toastmaster says, open your mouth really wide. Toastmaster says, touch your ears. Toastmaster says, touch your elbows. Toastmaster says, wave again to the camera. Toastmaster says, touch your nose. Toastmaster says, touch your mouth. Toastmaster says, touch your elbows. Toastmaster says, touch your hair. Toastmaster says, touch your head. Toastmaster says, look at Darren because he's looking extremely lost right now. Toastmaster says, to laugh out loud. Toastmaster says, touch your eyes. Toastmaster says, touch your ears. Touch your mouth.
Come on. Oh.
Toastmaster says Rachel's on decaf.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty. So we're just going to quickly move into our next activity now. And now that you guys are warmed up and are kind of in game spirit, I'd ask that everyone turn on their cameras and just get ready to have some fun. If you are willing to turn on your cameras, that is.
So the next game, I believe, and this is the main game, I'm pretty sure, Jeopardy, the messed up version. So for all the Jeopardy lovers, we're going to be playing a version of our game for the portion of this presentation. And the way it's going to work is we took your eyes, quite literally, and we stuck them onto a Jeopardy game board. And in today's society, people are only limited to seeing people's eyes and not getting the full expression. So for our game, we decided to replace that, to replicate that. And our job is to pick one tile on a pair of eyes on it and guess who the eyes belong to. And if you guess correctly, then you can proceed to the actual question or challenge. If not, then your turn just ends, and it'll go like this until there's no more tiles on the board for pretty much the entire end of the thing. And there's not that many eyes, but I think people are going to get them wrong because we're not going to give you any 3 guesses. We're just going to give you a question like whose are these eyes. So let's take that away.
Yep.
Right now.
And if you get it wrong, it is the end of your turn, like he said. But if somebody knows the eyes and would like to try and steal for the topic, you can go right ahead and try that.
Definitely.
Is there anyone who wants to pipe up and take the first shot?
I'll choose wisely.
Who's
Ray?
Ray, awesome. Ray, which eyes would you like?
I would like the eye on the right-hand side in the middle row. Nope.
Right-hand side. These ones?
That one.
There we go.
Those big eyes.
I think those are your eyes, Rachel.
That is absolutely
That's a
correct.
good guess.
All right. So you have a tongue twister. And as we said earlier, this is to help with pronunciation and different ways to say words quickly and still try and enunciate them.
All I gotta say is good luck.
I put some fun ones in there to,
Okay.
So
Betty,
you have 30 seconds and just try and say it as many times as you can.
Sorry, what?
You have 30 seconds and just try to say it as many times as you can in the 30 seconds.
I'll be lucky if I get through one.
Fair enough.
Are you going to say go?
Yes, give me 30 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. Just getting a proper timer set. All right, go ahead.
Betty Botter had some butter, but she said, this butter's bitter. If I bake this bitter butter, it would make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter, that would make my batter better. So she bought a bit of butter, better than her bitter butter, and she baked it in her batter, and the batter was not bitter. So 'twas better. Betty Botter bought a bit of better butter. Betty Botter had some butter, but she said, this butter's bitter. If I bake this bitter butter, it would make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter, that would make my batter better. So she bought a bit of butter, better than her bitter
And
batter.
time.
Oh.
Okay,
That
that's
deserves
awesome.
a round of applause. If everyone could just
like
unmute
that.
quickly, give that a round of applause. That was awesome. Congratulations. Don't think I've ever seen anyone other than one of my friends say that one that fast.
Oh yeah.
Anyone want to take the next shot?
Now you've scared them all.
I know, right?
I wish I could say that was the hardest one, but that's kind of the
Oh, I'll play along. So.
All right, Darren, testing your luck.
Darren.
Be careful, we did add charades in this one too.
Thank you for the reminder.
You're very
I'm
welcome.
gonna go for 3 across and 1 down.
This right here?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Whose eyes do you think it is?
Those belong to our esteemed division director, Carol.
I do believe you are absolutely correct with that. I'm just double checking my list to make sure you're correct before I lead everyone astray. That would be number 7. That is correct, Carol Murphy. So, your question of the day. When did Toastmasters officially open their membership for women? You have 10 seconds to think of an answer. If anyone wants to play along and guess, just write it down on your paper, and then when the 15 seconds are up, then you can throw up in the chat which year you think Toastmasters opened their membership for women.
1973.
That is correct.
Wow.
You are well versed in your Toastmasters facts. I think you've been practicing since the last time we played.
Oh, yeah.
I also know the backstory on this one, so.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right. See, that one's kind of easy. It's not too scary of a game.
There's worse. I promise you that.
Yeah, they're right.
Anyone want to give it a go or what?
Sure.
Who say
That's Janice.
Janice? Awesome.
Yeah.
Which would you like, Janice?
Just below Carol is our YouTube master, Ray Miller.
Correctamundo. We got some Balderdash. So you got option 1, 2, or 3.
3.
You want 3? Okay. So you have, I'm just double checking my time right here. And I completely lost my timesheet. So apparently that's not going to be happening. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. No, not 2 minutes. We're just going to go straight to it. Laughable Laws. So in Laughable Laws, I'm going to pull a random card from my Balderdash game at home. So in Devon, Colorado, it is unlawful to walk. And you are going to have to come up with some kind of ridiculous, or if you think you know the true answer, you have 1 minute to explain your answer and why you think that in Colorado, in Devon, Colorado, it is unlawful to walk. And anyone who wants to play along can just, again, write it on their paper, write down any ideas, and then throw it in the chat right after.
In Devon, not in Denver.
Yes, in Devon, Colorado. It is unlawful.
In Devon, Colorado. Well, I would guess that Devon, Colorado is even higher up than Denver. So if you actually try to ambulate through the town, the very thin air would get you unless you were totally acclimated, and you would just fall over onto the side of the road, and there would be no longer pedestrians, but people lying around like bricks, and nobody would be around to come and pick them up and cart them to wherever it is they needed to go. So you cannot walk. You have to ride an animal. Not a camel, not an elephant, not a donkey, but perhaps that other kind of animal that's not a horse, but 4-legged and can carry people around so they don't pass out from that high altitude as they are going after that gold mine.
And time. That is a greatly complex answer. I do believe you might be absolutely incorrect, but you know.
No. It's the truth. I looked it up on Wikipedia while we were talking.
Oh, I would like to give you the disclaimer that unfortunately, if you went to high school, you probably were told by your teachers that Wikipedia is the most unreliable source.
It is
so you might want to do some fact checking.
Check your teachers.
Yeah. In Devon, Colorado, it is unlawful to walk. Is there anyone who has any ideas and wants to throw them in the chat before I give the answer?
Walk with your ski boots on the sidewalk.
Not quite.
It should be. It should be, though.
It's close, though. Close. Kind of. Any other ideas? And you can unmute right now and quickly say it if that's easier than typing it in the chat. All right. Well, in Devon, Colorado, it is unlawful to walk backwards after sunset. All right. We are going to ignore that because that is not what we want to see. All right. Who wants to play next?
Greg is
I can
looking
play.
guilty.
I think I've got an answer.
All right.
Hi.
Is that, can I just get
That's
your
Greg.
name of who? Greg?
I'm pretty sure that's Greg.
Awesome.
Yeah. Second row, one down is Pam Muir. I think her title is Division D Director.
Awesome. Very
He
good.
knows his stuff.
He does. So you get to play Two Truths and a Lie.
Yes.
In this version of Two Truths and a Lie, you have 1 minute to come up with 2 truths and 1 lie about yourself. You have to try and sell them to the Toastmasters on this call. You have to clearly state your 3 facts by the end of your time. And when your time is up, everyone is going to hold up 1, 2, or 3 fingers to indicate which they believe is the lie. And then right after that, you're going to reveal your answer. So I have 1 minute on the clock right now. So go ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Greg. That may or may not be true. I once spent a summer running rickshaw, which is basically just a park bench on wheels. I've also spent time in Nepal, and it was a little tricky for me because of the high altitude. And what happened, not necessarily respiration issues, but it actually advanced my introversion. And I found that that was really difficult for me while I was there. So I think that that is something that I would like to share to people.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So now our Toastmasters, which do you think, or if you could just quickly state 1, 2, and 3 in simple form, just so we know which your facts are, if you could just quickly state those for us to hear.
The introvert statement is baloney. Wow. That's great.
All right, so Greg, your statements were that your name might be Greg, that you are an introvert, and what was your third one?
Yeah, the Greg thing probably wasn't on there. I was just introducing myself.
Oh, I see, okay.
But I did say rickshaw, Nepal, and the fact that I was introverted were the 3 things that I was trying to communicate in the framework.
Gotcha.
So if everyone just holds up their fingers, 3, 2, or 1, and just tells Greg which they think is a lie.
3. Big 3 for Darren.
So I see a lot of number 1s.
Huh.
Greg, what is the lie?
Do you want the answers?
Yes.
So the truth is I did run rickshaw for a company called Hong Kong Limo in Winnipeg. I've never gone to Nepal, and I self-identify as an introvert because introversion is actually how you recharge your energy, and I like to do that alone.
Very, very fair. And I believe that is actually time for us. So we're just going to quickly move into our conclusion, but we will have this set up so if anyone wants to stay on after for a few minutes with either questions or wanting to try out a couple of these themselves, feel free to do that. But I'm going to stop the share and move into our conclusion.
So in our society today, there are so many different forms of communication and ways to connect with other people. And the online world has made communication bigger as a result. For Toastmasters specifically, games can be used to get a point across in a much better way than lecturing. And it gives the recipients of the initial message a better way to take the information you're giving them and to have fun with it as well. Games are just one unique form of communication, and they can be applied to every culture, and they have been on every continent since the beginning of the world. And games are just a tool to reach out to other people, and they can be used in almost any time if you set time for it, and they can be used to calm down a situation, for instance, or to fire up a conversation. And there are ways to compete in an amazing method with others, and they can share the world around with other people. And most of all, they're a source of humor, and they're a source of joy if they're played properly. And there isn't a better way, in my opinion, and hopefully yours, to pair camaraderie, competitiveness, and joy into one single activity, as games do. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for watching this video on the Toastmasters District 96 YouTube channel. Subscribe to our channel to watch replays of our volunteer-run workshops, contests, and other events that are happening in our district. Like this video to show your appreciation for the volunteers who work hard to run these events. And remember, we are all volunteers. Thank you.